Hello, good morning, and welcome to today's wonderful and fantastic post-classically based news broadcast on the Postclassical News Network. Today I am joined by my good friend Sire William Charles Scott, Earl of Scotland, and today we will be discussing the continuities and changes in today's day and age. It is of incredible importance to note that we are speaking on politics here, as we enjoy the instigation of pointless bickering. Now, over to the kind Sir, Mr. William Scott.
Yes, that's right, Sir High Majesty Raj Piyush Patel. In the quite near future, there will be an attention-keeping and compelling discussion on a wide variety of things, ranging from Genghis Khan's swift and brutal conquering of most of Europe and Asia, the new European rise to power after the Crusades, and the continued power, importance, and influence of Islam on Christianity, on men, women, and children from across the continents. So sit back, relax, and don't catch the plague. Unless you're annoying, then I don't really care at all.
Now, we're deep diving into the Mongol Empire, supposedly the best of the best. The Mongols were not always the powerful nation we know of, but were once a group of nomadic tribes that eventually came together and formed one powerful empire. Under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his descendants, this empire had revolutionary ethical and technological influences, such as freedom of religion and the invention of biological warfare. Joined here, we have our worst reporter on site, Donovan Gerard Convoy, to report on the premises and political impact of Mr. Genghis Khan's empire.
Hey!
Yeah, it's looking cloudy here. About 67 degrees.
Not the weather, you idiot!
Oh wait, it's not the Weather Channel. My apologies, associates. Let me get back to what we're really here for, the political impact of the Genghis Khan Empire. Around the year 1200 CE, a man named Temujin had his wife kidnapped. He rallied the forces of multiple Mongol clans and sought to liberate his wife. During this endeavor, he realized combining power was much more significant than singular clans. Due to this discovery, Temujin started recruiting even more clans to grow his empire. After a few years, Temujin had created a massive empire and taken the name of Genghis Khan, or Universal Ruler. The Mongol Empire was widely regarded as brutal, with some examples being boiling leaders of cities in a pot of oil. However, once being captured, a Connaught region was allowed to continue following its own culture, speak in its own language, and even have its own local government. Specifically regarding the culture, freedom of religion was a new idea that the Mongols introduced, and this idea was retained by the U.S. government, proving the political impact of the Mongol Empire.
Also, the Mongols were the first to invent a form of biological warfare. While this was a truly terrible thing, it worked for them in the end. In the 1340s, Mongols from the Golden Horde Khanate laid siege to a city named Kaffa. But the Mongol soldiers suddenly fell victim to the plague.
Help! Help!
Oh! Interesting. Anyways, their last move was to throw the plague-ridden bodies over the walls, and Kaffa was bombarded by these bodies. Within days, the ones on the inside walls were not only sick, but extremely weak. The Mongols took advantage of this, stormed their city, and took it for themselves. Now back to Donovan outside.
The way the Mongols managed captured regions was influential to the nations of the future. As freedom of religion, varied languages, and local governments are all parts of the U.S. society. As for technological advancements, biological warfare continued to spread the plague further, which affected even more people and caused more deaths. So back to Bill and Viraj at the desk.
Next up on our story is this underdog story in Jerusalem. The lowly European Christians have pulled off a seemingly impossible victory over the local Muslims. The Christians have newly conquered the land surrounding the holy city and have control over them, describing it as a crusade and the first of its kind. It is a massive shift in the organization of Western European people. Needless to say, the newfound power of the Christians might be around for a while. Here is our elitely terrible reporter.
Thanks, Will. Levi here to break down the political effects of the Crusades for you. First, I'll start on the Christian side. In Western Europe, the West had been watching a strong Islamic territory take over the East, and they had to create a sense of urgency to put a stop to it.
You kidding me?
Wow. Speaking of this, the First Crusade was put in place by the Pope to take back Jerusalem. This is because it was seen as a holy land. The fact that a religious leader could instigate an entire war illustrates the immense power that the Pope held over Europe. This influence only grew stronger after the Crusades because of his ability to unite the West, which had been at a significant stage of unrest. Seriously, guys. I mean, have some respect. Additionally, this war also strengthened the monarchy and weakened the feudal system. This was because of the effects of giving land grants, allowing the people to own their own land instead of having vassals or lords control them. Thank you very much.
On the eastern side, the Byzantine Empire had a more negative result of the Crusades. Although they had thrived over the years of the Western Middle Ages, this was because of the sack of Constantinople. Losing Constantinople at the time was a gateway to the East, the central trading power for the East. Along with the loss of Constantinople was the loss of Jerusalem, switching power from Christian control over to the political overrun by the Mongols.
According to an account on the sack of Constantinople, invaders entered the Hagia Sophia and trampled religious items, desecrated holy artifacts and relics, and even used precious reliquaries as drinking cups. It even goes to say that all places everywhere were filled with all types of crime. Overall, the raid on the Hagia Sophia was incredibly distressing for everybody involved.
Speaking of Christians and Muslims, the power and influence of Islam and Christianity continued throughout the entirety of the post-classical era. From the numerous Muslim empires, to the Christian kingdoms of Western Europe, to the Byzantines, to the Crusades, there was no lack of influence from the major religions. Notably, the Crusades were once again a symbol for this. The Pope called for the initiation of Crusades as holy wars, and the Muslims took them up as holy wars as well, independent of important figures, rulers, states, and time.
You cheating? What the hell, man?
Yeah, of course, going to play more video games, bro.
Shut up, dude.
Anyways, Islamic caliphates were yet another example of a profound political impact that religion had. Now, you must be wondering, why would the influence of religion have anything to do with politics? Well, during this time period, the power followed the strong religion, and so Christianity and Islam were two powerhouses. Now, over to our less insignificant yet subordinate order, Levi Clown.
Thanks, Raj, but it's Brown, not Clown. To start, we should talk about the Islamic Caliphate system. Caliphates were a religious political system started in the earlier times of Islam. The Prophet Muhammad appointed caliphs, or religious leaders who were there to control a large territory and kept in mind the will of the people. There were numerous caliphates that existed, all happening after one another, expanding on the already incredibly large Islamic empire. The most important were the Rashidun, from 632 to 661, the Umayyad from 661 to 750, and the Abbasid, who reigned from 750 to 1517.
Turn it off!
Now, the reason this whole caliphate political system, could exist is due to the Islamic religion. Caliphates represent a method of organization that Islamic peoples think is just, and the reason they think so is because of the ordering society based upon the will of God. Thank you very much.
Speaking of the Abbasid Caliphate, they were existed during the golden age of Islam. Muhammad al-Abbas, the founder of the Caliphate, was a powerful religious figure. He used his status to gain control over the empire that Umayyad.
This thing isn't even on.
He won most of this powerful propaganda. The Abbasid Empire became very successful. Their prestige was very important to them due to their association with Islam. They were notably famous for commerce, industry, arts, math, technology, and science. Now, I will get back to my piano.
Well, that's all for today, chaps. Have a wonderful, post-classically sensational evening.
Surely that have to be 10 minutes, bro. How do I turn this off?